Every genius you admire stole their best ideas from a place nobody talks about. Mozart didn't compose his symphonies. He heard them, complete, streaming from somewhere beyond his conscious mind. Tesla saw his inventions functioning before touching a single wire. Einstein felt space-time bending in his imagination before writing a single equation. They weren't creators, they were receivers. And here's what nobody wants you to know. You're receiving transmissions right now, this very second, but you've been trained to ignore them, dismiss them as random thoughts, label them coincidence. That gut feeling that saved you from disaster, that solution that appeared in the shower, that name that popped into your head seconds before someone called, not accidents, downloads. And once you understand how to decode these signals, everything changes. Your entire relationship with reality shifts from struggle to flow. Before we go deeper, make sure you're locked into this frequency. Subscribe to this channel, hit notifications, because what's coming will recalibrate everything you think you know about intelligence, creativity, and your own untapped potential. Ready? Let's crack the code. There's a pattern hidden in plain sight. Look at history's breakthrough moments, and you'll find the same confession repeated over and over. Mendeleev saw the entire periodic table in a dream. Elements organized perfectly. Relationships he'd been struggling with for months, suddenly crystal clear. He woke up and just wrote it down. Elias Howe Spentieres trabalhando com a puca de cegueira. Não conseguia solucionar o problema da agulha, até pesadelo mostrou ele espiras com furacões na ponta. Ele acordou, mudou a fábrica para sempre. Paul McCartney ouviu a melodia inteira de Yesterday no sono dele, tão completo que ele convenceu que tinha plagiado uma música de alguém. Semanas acorrendo, perguntando para as pessoas, ninguém descobriu, porque veio por ele, não por ele. Isso não é pensamento místico, é fato documentado, acessando uma frequência que delivrava tempo inteiro soluções completas, sem pensamento. E a neurociência está cada vez mais apontando para o que vemos. Your brain operates on different wavelengths, literally measurable electrical frequencies. When you're stressed, problem-solving, analyzing, that's beta waves, roughly 13 to 30 cycles per second. Fast, sharp, focused on external reality. But when you drop into deep relaxation, right before sleep, during meditation, something radical happens. Your brain shifts into theta waves, 4 to 8 cycles per second. And in that state, the barriers dissolve. Theta opens a portal. Suddenly, you're accessing the subconscious, that massive database storing every experience, every pattern, every connection you've ever encountered, but consciously forgot. Intuition explodes in theta states because you're finally hearing the signal beneath the noise. Researchers studying creativity found that theta activity spikes right before those aha moments, those sudden insights that seem to come from nowhere. Your anterior cingulate cortex lights up, connecting dots your conscious mind never noticed. It's not magic, it's biology, responding to a field of information that's always broadcasting. But there's something even deeper happening. Inside your neurons, there are microscopic structures called microtubules, tiny cylindrical protein lattices that form the skeleton of your brain cells. For decades, scientists thought they were just structural support, biological scaffolding, until physicist Roger Penrose and anesthesiologist Stuart Hameroff proposed something revolutionary. Microtubules function as quantum computers. At that microscopic level, the rules change completely. Particles exist in multiple states simultaneously, superposition. Information transfers instantaneously across space, entanglement. Your brain isn't just processing chemical signals, it's performing quantum computations. Here's where it gets wild. Penrose suggests that consciousness doesn't emerge from neurons firing randomly until complexity creates awareness. Instead, microtubules reach a quantum threshold, and then something called objective reduction happens. The quantum state collapses into classical reality, and that collapse is experienced as a conscious moment. You're not generating thoughts. You're collapsing quantum possibilities into experienced reality. Every insight, every decision, every creative breakthrough, it's you interacting with a field of infinite potential and selecting which version becomes real. This explains why great ideas don't feel invented. They feel discovered. Because you're not creating from nothing, you're tuning into what already exists in quantum superposition, waiting to be observed into manifestation. The double-slit experiment proved this decades ago. When nobody's watching, particles behave like waves of probability, existing everywhere at once. But the instant you observe, the wave collapses into a specific location. Your attention literally determines which reality manifests. Apply that to your life. Every moment you're surrounded by infinite possibilities existing simultaneously. Which one collapses into your experience? The one you focus on, the one you expect, the one you vibrate with. David Bohm, one of quantum physics's greatest minds, took this further with his theory of implicate order. He proposed that beneath the surface reality we perceive, what he called explicate order, there's a deeper dimension where everything is folded together, infolded, interconnected. Imagine a hologram. Cut it in half, and you don't get two halves of an image. You get two complete images, slightly less defined. Cut those in half again. Same thing. The whole is contained in every part. Bohm said reality works like that. Every point in space contains information about the entire universe. You're not separate from anything. You're a localized expression of a universal field, like a wave thinking it's separate from the ocean, while being made entirely of ocean. This isn't poetry. It's physics explaining what shamans, mystics, and meditation masters have reported for thousands of years. When you quiet your mind completely, you don't find emptiness. You find connection, a sense of knowing that transcends personal memory or learned information. Suddenly, you understand things you never studied. Feel connected to people you never met. Access wisdom that doesn't come from your individual experience. Because in those moments, the illusion of separation thins. You stop identifying as just this body, this story, this limited self, and you remember what you actually are. A temporary focal point of an infinite intelligence expressing itself through your unique perspective. Flow states prove this. Researchers studying peak performance found that when people enter flow, that zone where everything clicks, time disappears, performance skyrockets. Their brain does something unexpected. The prefrontal cortex, your executive control center, reduces activity. They call it transient hypofrontality. Your inner critic shuts up. Self-doubt vanishes. The part of you that constantly judges, analyzes, worries about how you look, it goes offline. And in that space, something else takes over. Musicians in flow show decreased activity in their default mode network, meaning their conscious storytelling mind stepped aside and a deeper intelligence flowed through. They weren't trying to play perfectly. They became the music. You felt this, even if you don't recognize it. That moment writing, when words poured out faster than you could think. That conversation where exactly the right thing emerged without planning. That decision that felt absolutely certain despite no logical reason. Those weren't flukes. Those were moments when your small self got out of the way and your connection to the field opened wide. The tragedy is you were taught to distrust these moments, to prioritize logic over intuition, analysis over instinct, acceptable over authentic. And every time you override that inner knowing, you strengthen the static and weaken the signal. So, how do you strengthen the signal? First, understand that your brain is an antenna, not a generator. It doesn't produce consciousness. It receives it, filters it, translates it into personal experience. Every thought you think already existed as potential in the quantum field. Your job isn't to create from scratch, but to become a clearer channel. And clarity requires space, silence, the absence of mental chatter that normally dominates your inner landscape. This is why every tradition, every path that leads to higher consciousness emphasizes some form of meditation, contemplation, or stillness practice. Not because sitting quietly is holy, but because it's the only way to hear what's been broadcasting underneath the noise your whole life. When you sit in silence and watch your thoughts instead of being your thoughts, something extraordinary happens. You realize there's a you watching the thoughts, which means you're not the thoughts. You're the awareness behind them. And that awareness doesn't come and go. It's constant, unchanging, always present. That's your access point. That's the interface between your individual self and the universal field. The more you rest in that awareness, the more you operate from that space rather than from the conditioned patterns of fear, limitation, and survival programming, the more you become a clear channel for intelligence that transcends your personal history. This isn't about becoming special. It's about remembering what you've always been, but forgot. Every human being has this capacity built in. Your microtubules are performing quantum computations right now, whether you're aware of it or not. Your brain generates theta waves every single night. The field of infinite intelligence isn't somewhere else. It's the foundation of reality itself, and you're made of it. The only question is, how much interference are you creating? How much are you blocking the transmission with doubt, distraction, density, unprocessed pain? Because here's the truth nobody wants to hear. You can't access higher intelligence while vibrating at lower frequencies. Resentment, fear, chronic stress, victim mentality, these aren't just emotional problems. They're signal blockers, literally changing your brain chemistry and electromagnetic field in ways that close the channel. If you've ever experienced a spontaneous download of clarity, an unexplainable solution, a moment where you just knew something beyond your ability to know, comment below and share it. Because acknowledging these experiences validates them, strengthens your ability to recognize them, and helps others realize they're not crazy for trusting what they can't explain logically. Your story might be the permission someone else needs to finally trust their own connection. Now let's get practical. Knowing this field exists means nothing if you can't access it consistently. And most people can't, because they're carrying too much interference. Think of it like trying to stream high-definition video on a device loaded with viruses, malware, 1,000 apps running in the background. The bandwidth gets choked. Same with consciousness. Every unprocessed trauma, every limiting belief, every repetitive fear pattern, it's all running in the background, consuming resources, creating static that drowns out the pure signal trying to reach you. The first layer of interference is trauma. Not just big dramatic events, but the accumulated micro-traumas of being human. Moments of rejection, humiliation, abandonment, betrayal that your nervous system recorded as threats. Your body literally stores these as contractions. Tendências energéticas físicas. Quando você quer acessar os perfeitos symptoms na tua mente, porque carrega pessoas que ainda estão meio que batendo medo. Isto causa para que você tenha reconciliação da prosperidade. It's not about being broken or damaged. It's about clearing the interference so the signal comes through clean. The second layer is belief. You filter reality through assumptions you don't even know you're making. If you believe deep down that you're not worthy, not capable, not special enough to access higher intelligence, guess what? You won't. Not because it's unavailable, but because your belief acts as a firewall blocking the download. Quantum Physics prove isso no observador efeito. O que você espera influencia o que manifesta. Os seus pensamentos subconscientes estão constantemente colapsando possibilidades em realidades que conformam o que você crê é verdade. Cambia a crença e você literalmente muda o qual tempo experiências. Não basta mais metafísica. É física mensurável. The third layer is attention. Where your attention goes, your energy flows and your reality grows. If you spend your days consuming fear-based news, scrolling comparison-inducing social media, replaying resentments, rehearsing anxieties, you're programming your field to match that frequency. The universal intelligence doesn't judge this, doesn't stop you. It simply reflects back what you're broadcasting. You're using your quantum antenna to tune into channels of chaos, then wondering why life feels chaotic. You have to become ruthless with your attention. Protect it like you'd protect your bank account. Because attention is more valuable than money. It's the currency of consciousness, and you're spending it every second of every day. So here's the protocol. First, create daily space for silence. Not once you feel like it. Not when everything's handled. Daily, non-negotiable. Even 5 minutes of sitting still, eyes closed, watching your breath, creates a gap in the mental noise. In that gap, the signal starts emerging. Thoughts will come. Let them. Don't fight them. Don't follow them. Just notice them like clouds passing through the sky. You're not the clouds. You're the sky. The more you practice this, the more natural it becomes to operate from that spacious awareness throughout your day, not just in meditation. Second, clean your vibrational field. This sounds abstract until you realize your emotions are literally electromagnetic frequencies measurable by scientific instruments. Anger, fear, shame vibrate at lower, denser frequencies. Gratidão, love e paz vibra muito alto. You can't fake this. You can say affirmations all day, but if underneath you're seething with resentment, your field is broadcasting resentment. The universe responds to what you are, not what you say. So the work is to actually process and release the dense emotions, not suppress them. Feel them fully, let them move through without attaching a story, then let them go. Breathwork, somatic practices, therapy, journaling. Find what helps you metabolize emotion instead of storing it. Third, practice intentional gratitude. Not the fake kind where you list things you think you should be grateful for. Real gratitude, where you feel it in your body. Gratidão pelo que você tem? Sim, mas de forma mais poderosa, gratidão pelo que está por vir como se já tivesse chegado. Isso não é ilusão, é mecânica quântica. Quando você sente gratidão genuína por um resultado futuro, você colapsa na linha do tempo onde esse resultado existe. Seu sistema nervoso não consegue distinguir entre o imaginado e o real quando o sentimento é autêntico. Então você literalmente sintoniza sua antena na frequência dessa realidade e o campo começa a reorganizar as circunstâncias para combinar. Não instantaneamente, não magicamente, mas consistentemente, inevitavelmente, se você mantiver a frequência. Quarto, entenda a coerência versus desejo. Desejar vem da falta, é o sentimento de que você não tem algo e precisa desesperadamente. Essa desesperança é uma frequência baixa que atrai mais falta. Coerência é diferente. Absurdo de seus pensamentos e as tuas ações se encaixam numa direção. Você não quer abundância enquanto acredita que nunca tem. Você deseja conexão quando puxa todo mundo para trás. E você embarga a frequência de estar lá. Essa é quando o campo responde poderosamente. Não porque você convenceu, mas porque você entraste no padrão e mostrando. Reconheça as sincronicidades como feedback. Quando você começa a limpar o seu barrido e sincronizar a sua frequência, o universo incore disso. A pessoa certa aparece na hora certa. A solução chega numa conversa inesperada. Você pensa em alguém e texta. Small at first, then increasingly undeniable. Don't dismiss these as random. They're the field communicating, showing you that you're on the right frequency. Acknowledge them, feel gratitude for them, and they amplify. The universe loves a conscious co-creator. Sixth, practice radical presence. The past is memory. The future is imagination. The only moment where you have any actual power is now. Yet most people spend 90% of their mental energy elsewhere, rehashing what happened or rehearsing what might happen. Every moment you're not present, you're not accessing. The field exists only in the eternal now. So simple practices that anchor you here, feeling your feet on the ground, noticing your breath, experiencing the sensations in your body. These aren't just relaxation techniques, they're portals. The more present you become, the more the veil thins between your individual consciousness and the universal intelligence animating everything. Seventh, trust the timing. This might be the hardest part. You do everything right. You meditate, you clear your blocks, you set clear intentions, you maintain high frequency, and nothing seems to happen. That's when most people quit, assuming it doesn't work. But the field operates on universal timing, not your personal schedule. Sometimes what you're asking for requires other pieces to align first. People need to be in position. Circumstances need to shift. You need to develop capacities you don't have yet. The delay isn't denial, it's orchestration. Your job is to maintain the frequency and trust that when every variable aligns, manifestation happens effortlessly. Force creates resistance. Trust creates flow. Eighth, recognize that accessing this intelligence makes you more human, not less. Some people think awakening means transcending emotions, becoming detached, floating above earthly concerns. That's spiritual bypassing, and it's a trap. True awakening means feeling everything more deeply while being attached to nothing. You experience joy and pain with full intensity, but you don't identify with them. You don't let them define you. You become infinitely more compassionate because you see that everyone is struggling with the same illusion of separation, the same forgetting of what they really are. Instead of judging others, you naturally want to help them remember. Not from ego, not from superiority, but from genuine love for all expressions of the one consciousness playing every role. The neuroscience backs this up. People who regularly access flow states and higher consciousness don't become robotic. Their emotional intelligence increases. Their creativity expands. Their ability to connect with others deepens. Because when your individual ego mind relaxes its control and lets a larger intelligence flow through, you become a conduit for solutions that serve everyone, not just yourself. Your art gets better. Your relationships improve. Your work becomes more impactful, not because you're trying harder, but because you're allowing something greater than your limited perspective to express itself through you. Here's what changes when you make this shift permanent. Life stops feeling like a battle against reality and starts feeling like a dance with it. Problems still arise, but instead of struggling with them, you get curious. What is this situation trying to teach me? What pattern am I ready to release? What new level of consciousness is trying to emerge through this challenge? You start seeing obstacles as invitations, not punishments. And when you approach life that way, solutions appear faster, often from directions you never would have thought to look. Your intuition becomes your primary guidance system. That gut knowing that you used to second guess becomes something you trust implicitly, because you've tested it repeatedly and found it more reliable than your logical mind, which only knows what's already happened and tries to project patterns forward. Intuition accesses the quantum field of all possibilities, including ones that haven't manifested yet. It knows things your conscious mind can't explain. Learning to follow it, even when it doesn't make sense, is one of the most powerful skills you can develop. You stop comparing yourself to others because you finally understand that everyone is on their own trajectory, accessing the field through their unique filter. Some people are here to create art, some to heal, some to build, some to teach, some to simply be, radiating a frequency that uplifts everyone around them. No path is superior. We're all just different instruments in the same infinite orchestra. And when each plays their true note, instead of trying to sound like someone else, the symphony becomes magnificent. You begin to see yourself as temporary, but also eternal. This body, this personality, this lifetime, it's like a wave on the ocean. It rises, plays its part, then returns to the source. But the ocean itself never dies. The consciousness animating you existed before you were born and will exist after you die. You're not trying to escape death or cling desperately to existence. You're fully alive in each moment while simultaneously relaxed about the impermanence of form. That paradox, complete presence without desperate attachment, might be the highest achievement of human consciousness. But here's the twist nobody mentions. You might be receiving messages right now, clear transmissions from the field, but in a language you haven't learned to decode yet. Imagine receiving a detailed blueprint for your life's greatest work, but it's written in symbols your conscious mind doesn't recognize. The information is there. The download is happening. But without the decoder, it just looks like random noise. So here's the real question. Are you ready to learn the language? If you made it this far and something inside you resonated, if you felt that spark of recognition when I talked about downloads and intuition and quantum fields, comment activated below. Let the algorithm know you're awake and ready for more. And don't forget, subscribe, turn on notifications, keep this frequency strong. There's another piece of the puzzle waiting for you in the next video that appears on your screen. Each one is a key. Each insight builds on the last. This journey doesn't end, it only deepens. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.